Hey everyone, welcome to Google Maps Domination for Insurance Agents. I'm Carl Willis, CEO and lead strategist at Agent Branding and Marketing. Today I'm going to show you how to stop being invisible in local search and instead start showing up right where your ideal customer is looking. By the end of our time together, you'll walk away with a clear action plan to improve your Google Maps ranking, attract a better fit of local lead, and position yourself and your agency as the authority in your market without any gimmicks or guesswork. So I'm glad you are here with us today. Our objective for today is to show you how to rank higher on Google Maps and get seen by high intent insurance buyers. You're going to learn the key factors that Google considers, how to optimize your Google business profile, and then proven strategies to increase your visibility. We'll also cover the latest in AI-driven techniques and updates, and we'll talk about some real-world case studies as well of agents who have skyrocketed their local search rankings using the things that we are going to be discussing here on the webinar. For those of you who have not been with us before, my name is Carl Willis, and I am the CEO and lead strategist at Agent Branding and Marketing. I have been marketing online since 1997, back in the dial-up days. I'm a former financial advisor, Series 6, 7, 63, 65, Life A&H. I'm the author of Internet Marketing for Small Business, creator of the Marketing Classroom, international keynote speaker in business growth and lead generation topics, and widely accepted as a go-to expert for insurance agency digital marketing strategy. Also the host of the Digital Insurance Agent podcast. And if you're not a listener, you can find that on iTunes, Spotify, and any other channel where you get your podcast content. And of course, we work with local insurance agents throughout the United States. And so glad to have you with us here today. And anytime you hear me talk, you're going to hear me talk about the marketing ecosystem. And so when we talk about your marketing ecosystem today, what we're going to be dealing with is section number one of the ecosystem, search engine optimization, SEO. And that is where Google Maps fits in. When we talk about Google Maps, we are actually talking about local SEO. And that's what we're going to be focused in on today, is that section of the ecosystem. And so with that, let's talk about why this component is so critical for you as an insurance agent and also for your agency. What studies tell us is that 78% of local searches lead to a purchase or buying decision within 24 hours. And that's across the board, across all industries. But what we find is that the people who are in these maps listings, who are doing their research in this area of Google, are those who are in the latter stages of their research. And because they are in the latter stages of their research, they are right at the precipice of making those buying decisions. And so Google Maps isn't for tire kickers, it's where people go when they are actually ready to purchase or transact services. And if you're not in that top three, what we call the three pack, you're actually missing out on the easiest, lowest cost customer acquisition that you're going to achieve within the Google organic universe. The other reason this is so critical is the way Google is now structuring its search result pages is they are putting these local listings at the top, because this is more valuable for them. You have to remember, if we think like Google, it is more valuable to Google to keep the consumer in Google's environment than to send them off-site to your website. And so what Google is trying to do is give the consumer all the information they need in the Google environment, where they can actually place a call to you, they can look at your reviews, they can do their research without ever having to leave the Google environment. And so that brings us into this next topic, and that is the buyer's journey. And so we have to understand, what is the process that the buyer or the consumer is going through in their decision to do business with you. And the way that the ideal customer behaves is, number one, they're going to start with a search. They're going to Google for your services, or they're going to Google for your agency. And then once they do that, then they're going to check reviews. They're going to see, how good are you? What kind of service do you provide? What do other consumers feel about the level of service you provide? Are people having a good experience with you? And if they're satisfied with what they see there, then they'll visit your website. And only after they've gone through all of those steps do they then place a phone call. And so, what you're finding is, your job is not just to be found, it's to build trust through this process. So we want to be engaging with that customer through this entire decision-making journey and process. So we want to be visible in the search. We want to make sure that we are answering their questions when they look at the reviews. We want to make sure that they can find the information that they need when they're looking at the website. And then, of course, we want to make it easy for them to get in touch with you. Now, you need to understand how Google decides who ranks in these local search rankings in the map listings. And it's based on a three-part formula. The algorithm is broken down into three components: relevance, prominence, and distance. So let me explain those three components to you. Relevance is simply, are you offering the services that the individual is searching for? Distance is, are you close enough to them? What is your proximity to the individual doing the search? And then prominence is, do people trust your business online, or are you an influential member of the local community as a business? Now, here's what we need to understand. We cannot control the location component. We can't control where that individual is searching from, but we can certainly control issues of relevance and prominence. And so let's talk about those things a little bit. And let me give you some pointers, some tips to really help you here. Number one, let's talk about relevance. Are you offering the services that they are searching for? One of the things that you want to be looking at on your Google business profile is, Google is regularly adding new service items to the business profile based on what Google's AI thinks are services that you likely offer, because of the content on your website, because of content that is in your social media. And so if you will go and look at your Google business profile on a regular basis, every 30 to 45 days, what you are likely to find is that they are adding new service items to the services in your Google business profile. So one of the things you can do under relevance is, instead of leaving a one or two word service that Google has added there, is you can expand that. You can type a sentence or two or a small little paragraph about that service to make it more robust and feature rich. What that does is it gives the consumer more information, number one, but it also feeds the Google algorithm with more information. More data is always your friend. The second thing you can do with relevance is you can create more content that demonstrates that you offer the services that that consumer is looking for. This can be written content, this can be photo content, this can be video content, but the more relevant you are to that search, the better you're going to perform. And then there is prominence. Do people trust your business online? And we're going to talk about this a little more here in a moment, but the number one tool at your disposal there is consumer reviews. You constantly want to be asking for reviews. And not just reviews that are generic in nature. It's not enough just to go out and leave 5 stars. It's not just enough to say, you did a good job. What we really want is we want that customer to talk about the services that they are using with you. And then we want to respond to every review that's left so that the consumer and the Google algorithm see that you are responsive to your customer base. And when we respond, we also want to talk about those services as well. And so when we work this algorithm correctly, what we're going to do is we're going to control the variables we can control very well. And so even if distance is not in our favor, we're at least giving ourselves an advantage everywhere else. Now, the other thing that I want to mention, if distance is not in your favor, then it's going to be very important that you really work these other elements correctly. And let me explain what I mean by that. For example, we've got an agent that we work with that lives on the edge of the city that they operate in, but they're trying to cover the entire city. Well, because of proximity, Google gives them a lot of favor on the outskirts of the city, but not in the center of the city. So we've got to work heavily on content in the center of the city. We have to talk a lot about local events in the city. We have to take a lot of pictures of that agent being active in different areas within the city. We have to make sure that we are emphasizing a lot of things that are community oriented to train the Google algorithm that this agent operates in more than just that outlying area of the community. So you've got to think strategically. You've got to think about, how do I train Google to see my business holistically, not just in this tiny proximity based on where I'm located. Now, you also want to think about your Google business profile differently than you may be thinking about it currently. Your business profile on Google is more than a directory listing. And one of the common mistakes we see agents make is they treat their Google business profile just like any other listing, just like a Yellow Pages listing or a Yelp listing or a Better Business Bureau listing. It's so much more than that. Your Google business profile really is actually the most powerful tool that you're not using enough. It really is your local website online, because Google has structured their platform to where it gives more favoritism to the Google business profile than it does to your website. And so you want to treat that business profile just like you would your own website, because it has your name, it has your reviews, it has your contact information, and it has a place for you to display photos and video and content to communicate with your audience. So here's some real key steps for you. Number one, make sure that profile is fully filled out. Google is constantly adding new places for you to add more information. In fact, this week, you may have gotten an email from Google asking, do you have special hours for Good Friday? You want to make sure and go into your Google business profile and mark yes or no. If you've got special hours, mark those special hours. Engage with that business profile. The more you are interactive with it, the better off you're going to be. The second thing is update it with weekly photos, and not just any photos, but photos that show the real personality of you, the agent, and your agency. Because what you're having to do is convey why you. Why should the consumer choose you over the agency next door? And you're going to do that using photos and short form videos and content. So you want to update weekly, but photos are powerful because photos also get indexed, and photos, especially from your smartphone, have technical information embedded into those photographs. And so Google knows where those photographs were taken. It's called geotagging. And so what it does is it reinforces to Google location information. And so back to that proximity, that location factor in your rankings, that becomes very valuable. You want to optimize your page with real service keywords: auto insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance, life insurance, business insurance. Use real service keywords. What are the services that you are offering? Make sure those are embedded throughout your Google business profile and in your content. Remember, don't treat it like a directory listing, treat it like it's your storefront, because this is the first exposure many consumers are going to have to your business. It's not going to be your website, and it's not even going to be your social media. It's going to be this Google business listing. So make sure it's pretty, make sure it represents you well, make sure it tells your story. Now, the next thing that you want to pay attention to is what's called NAP consistency. And NAP consistency means this: name, address, and phone number. Because NAP consistency equals digital trust. And let me explain this one as well, because this one is really interesting, and it's a small thing, but it can make a huge difference. So, what NAP consistency is all about is, let's say your agency is located at 123 Main Street. And in some directories, Main street is spelled out Street. And in other directories, street is spelled ST period. Well, Google views that as inconsistency. And because it's inconsistent, all things being equal, if the agency next door to you has consistency on all of their listings, they will actually rank higher than you do, because there is consistency across all of their information. They don't have variations. So you want to make sure that all of your information is the same across all directories. So if it's street spelled out STREET on your Google business profile, make sure that's the way it looks everywhere else. If you've moved offices or locations at some point in the past, make sure that those old addresses aren't floating around out there. So here's the thing you want to keep in mind: Google crawls the entire web to make sure your business information is consistent. If your phone number or your name format is different on Yelp, and it's different on the Better Business Bureau, and it's different on Facebook. What you're doing is you're sending Google mixed signals. And what it's telling the Google algorithm is that you may not be as trustworthy as an identical agency who has consistent information on all of those platforms. So keep your information identical on each and every platform. It should look the same on Google as it does on Yelp, as it does on the Better Business Bureau, as it does on Facebook and elsewhere. Keep it identical. Now, we talked about this a minute ago, but we'll get deeper into this. Reviews are your ranking fuel. This is the one thing that will move the needle more than anything else because reviews really are a popularity contest. That's the easiest way to say it. The more reviews, the greater the visibility. And let me help you understand something. This isn't just 5-star reviews. What Google's really looking for is that you get reviews consistently. Google would rather see continuous review flow versus a handful of 5-star reviews that you got 18 months ago. So ideally, you want to try and get a new review every 2 weeks. That's a good pace to be on. That's what you want to strive for. Keep those reviews coming in, get them consistently. The more reviews, the greater the visibility, even if they're not all 5-star. Just get consistent reviews because what that tells Google is that consumers are giving feedback to your services and that you are active in serving the people in your community. Now, whether those reviews are good or bad, be sure and respond to those reviews. And ideally, you want to respond to those reviews in the first 48 hours. The sooner, the better. When you respond to reviews, use keywords in those reviews. So if you can mention the services that the customer was using, use those service terms in your replies. And if you want to see more customer activity coming through your door, get more reviews. It is truthfully that simple. Get more reviews, ask for more reviews, and build that into your regular workflow. So, one of the things that we recommend is that anytime you're face to face with one of your customers, you always ask for reviews. Anytime you're sending correspondence, have a call to action, leave us a review. Just make reviews a common thing that you're doing. I would have a placard somewhere in your office that has a QR code. Person can scan it with their phone. It immediately takes them to a link where they can leave a review on your Google business profile. Reviews are the currency in local search that drives positive rankings. Now, you also want to use local content to build authority because Google wants to know that you are part of the community you serve. So be sure to write about job openings in your office. Be sure to show off projects that you're working on. If you're doing things out and about in the community, if you've got a drive that you're working on inside the office, getting listed on local directories, if you're part of a local association, the Chamber of Commerce, BNI group, whatever it is, be sure and showcase those things on your Google business profile. Talk about those things in your content because what those do is they build local authority. And the name of the game today is topical authority. What Google is looking for and what the AI is looking for is, are you a recognized expert and authority in your field in your local market? And so the more you write about these things, the more you demonstrate that through picture, video, and written content, the better off you're going to be. So again, write about job openings if you're hiring. Be sure to show off things that you and your office are working on. Get listed on local directories, associations, be active in local groups within your community, local charities, local events. All of those things will build your local content authority. One of the little secret hacks we like to use, and we'll talk about this more here in a minute, is we like to do shout outs to other local businesses. So if you've got customers who are business owners, trade shout outs. Hey, go visit Joe's Coffee Shop. They're located at 123 Main Street. Here's a link to their Google business profile. Things like that build local authority on your Google business profile. Now, I'm sure you're aware AI is absolutely changing everything online these days, and Google is no different. Google's new AI, Gemini, is now pulling from your entire online presence, and it is incorporating that into Google's search algorithm. So it is a AI driven algorithm now, not just a keyword driven algorithm. And this is really critical for you. So when you hear me talk about topical authority, here's where that is being compiled from. So what Google's AI is doing today is it's reviewing your social media, it's reviewing your customer reviews, it's reviewing your videos, and it's reviewing your website, and it's looking at all of those things, and those are influencing whether or not you rank well on the local search results on Google Maps. And basically, the way the algorithm is now working is you may have all the right components from a keyword and structure standpoint to rank well. But the AI is making the assumption that if you have all of those pieces in place, you should be authoritative enough and you should be influential enough in your community to also have validating signals in these other places, in social media, in your reviews, in video content, in your website. And so you're going to hear me use the terminology in most of our webinars these days of signals. And that's what the AI is looking for. It's looking for signals. And so it's not just about keywords anymore, it's about your entire digital footprint. And your digital footprint is based on the entirety of the signals that your business is putting out, that your agency is putting out across the entire online universe, not just on Google, not just on your business listing, but everywhere. So let me give you a case study from one of our clients. So this is an agent in Hollywood, Florida, and they were kind of struggling in visibility, and we were looking to increase their visibility in local search. So you can see the map on the left, there's a lot of red. If you were to zoom in, the numbers at the bottom in red are typically anywhere from the number 9 or 10 to the number 20. That means any of those data points, if you were to pull a search at any given moment, that's where they ranked in the local search listings. So for 4 months, what we did is we enabled and began to execute the very things we were talking about: relevance, and sending out the right signals. And after 4 months, what we did is you can see we turned the map primarily green. And so green means everything is number one, two, or three. And so after 120 days, across this 5 mile radius, and this is again Hollywood, Florida, so heavy concentration of population. We got them in the three pack. And in this case, what we were going after was auto insurance. So at the beginning of this case study, page two, not a lot of traffic. After 120 days, we've got them into the three pack in their city. Phones are now ringing. It's organic traffic. And what happens with the visibility is once you get into that organic three pack, because you're at the top of Google's page, phone calls go up and website clicks go up organically. You start to get this organic residual activity simply because you're visible. Because when you're not visible to the consumer, you don't even exist. And so, what needed to happen for this agent is we needed them to exist in the mind of the consumer. So, here's what changed: we optimized their profile, we cleaned up the online footprint, and we started building trust. We went after more reviews. We started putting out more localized content on the business profile. And we made sure that every possible space that Google was giving us to put information, we had it filled out. And by doing that and doing that consistently, making sure we were posting to the business profile on a weekly basis, we turned the map from red to green. Now, let's talk about some things that will kill your rankings. So, those are the things that turn the map from red to green. If you want to take it the other direction and kill your rankings, here's some things that will kill your rankings. Number one, buying fake reviews. Don't buy fake reviews. If you go out to Fiverr and you find the guy that will sell you reviews for 20 bucks, trust me, they will get found out. And when Google finds that you've been buying fake reviews, not only will they take down your business profile, they may actually de-index your website as well, and you'll never be seen on Google again. So it's not a good idea to go that route. The second thing that you want to watch is using call tracking numbers on your Google profile. We do see people do this, but what that does is it messes up the consistency of name, address, and phone number. So, all things being equal, if your competitor has consistency across their entire name, address, and phone number universe, and yours is consistent except your Google profile has this tracking number, your competitor is going to outrank you most of the time. You also don't want to leave your Google profile dormant. If you leave your profile dormant and your competitor is keeping theirs active, your competitor is probably going to do a whole lot better than you are. And then this one's a big one, and this is one we encounter quite often, and that is the cheap SEO firm, the $300 SEO guy, generally from somewhere overseas, with no local experience, that doesn't know your industry. And here's why this is dangerous. The last slide I showed you with this agent here, one of the things we had to correct with their website that was also affecting their local rankings is at some point in the past, they had hired the cheap SEO guy. And when we began to examine backlinks, we were finding backlinks that were coming from pornographic sites. We were finding backlinks that said things like, buy these backlinks to help with your Google rankings. And so we helped the agent understand that if we can see that, Google can see that. And the fact that we can see that some of these links are coming from questionable sites, Google also sees that. And so we had to disavow those links. So this cheap SEO service was going out and hiring or buying really bad links that were actually hurting this agency and not helping this agency. So although they were getting more links because of the questionable nature of the links, it was actually causing the agency to be penalized by Google in the rankings. So, best practice is just to avoid all of those things: fake reviews, putting tracking numbers on your Google business profile, leaving your profile dormant, and then being cheap with your search engine optimization. I alluded to this a few minutes ago, but let me reinforce this. Your footprint is now the new SEO. So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, SEO was keywords and backlinks. That's not the case anymore. In this new AI driven environment, which is what we're going to be in from here on out for the foreseeable future, your footprint is now the new SEO. And when we talk about your footprint, the word I really want you to anchor into is signals. This is the new marketing strategy you have to think about. It is your Google business profile, your social profiles, the local directories, your website, and short form videos. And when I say short form videos, I mean short form videos being 60 seconds or less. So this is the content that's being consumed on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Reels, and Google Shorts. It is the combination of those elements, those five things, that together create your digital gravity. And the stronger that gravity is, the more Google pulls you to the top. In fact, if you do a Google search today, you'll now see a new section at the top of the page. So where you see things like images and news, there is also now one for short video. So the stronger the gravity is, the more it pulls you to the top. So when you think about your overall search footprint, when you think about your overall rankings, it's not just about having the right keywords now, it's about the overall footprint. Is your Google business profile optimized? Are you keeping it active and current? Your social profiles, are you keeping those active and current? Your local directories, are you utilizing those? Is the name, address, and phone number information consistent with the same information that's on your Google business profile? Is your website up to date? Are you keeping it current and up to date with valuable information? And then are you using short form video to your advantage? Because that is the main driver of content these days, and especially on mobile devices. So together, those things are going to create the most impact for you in your local search rankings, and they're going to affect Google Maps the most. Now, if you're ready to stop guessing and need to get some real results, if you're already our client, these are things we'll talk about in our strategy sessions with you. So just write down your questions. But if you're not our client, we would invite you to schedule a free strategy session with us. We'll walk through your current footprint. We'll review what's working, what's not working, and we'll give you a game plan of how to get your rankings up. So there's no pressure, just a conversation to help you get visible. We'll do a full audit of your Google business profile, where you're at, give you a game plan for visibility and a clear path to really accelerate your visibility in your local market, and you'll leave knowing what you need to do, whether or not we work together. So just make that offer to you. If that's something you want to do, you can schedule that at agentbrandingandmarketing.com/schedule. Now, if you've got some questions, we've got a few minutes left. Feel free to drop those in the chat. And I want to thank you for joining me today and taking some time out. So we'll just take a couple of moments here and see if we've got any questions. Drop those in the chat, and I'll give you a couple of moments. All right. It doesn't look like we've got any questions. So we're going to wrap it up for today. And I appreciate everyone coming out, and we look forward to seeing you on next month's webinar. We'll put that topic out here in the next few weeks, and hope you have a great day.